Don't forget to like this video, comment where you're watching from, and hit that subscribe button. Mom, we've decided to keep the wedding small and intimate, my son Michael said, not meeting my eyes. Just immediate family. I smiled and congratulated him, thinking I'd finally get to help plan the wedding I'd dreamed about for years. What I didn't know was that I wasn't on the guest list at all. For 28 years, I thought I'd raised the perfect son. Michael was everything a mother could ask for. Valedictorian, scholarship to Stanford, now a successful investment banker in Manhattan earning over $300,000 a year. When he met Jessica 2 years ago, I welcomed her with open arms. I thought she was perfect for him. I should have seen the signs earlier. It started when Michael first brought Jessica home for Thanksgiving. I'd spent 3 days preparing his favorite dishes. The same honey-glazed ham I'd made every year since he was 5, the sweet potato casserole with his grandmother's secret recipe, even the pumpkin pie from scratch that took me 6 hours to perfect. "This is so much food, Mrs. Patterson," Jessica had said, looking around my dining room table. "Michael and I usually just do something simple for holidays. Maybe grab dinner at a nice restaurant. But this is our family tradition," I'd replied, confused. "Michael loves when I make." "Actually, Mom," Michael interrupted, "Jessica's right. This is kind of a lot. The same meal I'd lovingly prepared for him every Thanksgiving for 26 years was suddenly a lot. But I brushed it off. New relationships change people. I understood that. Over the next year, I watched my son slowly drift away from everything we'd built together. Our weekly Sunday dinners became monthly, then every few months, then stopped altogether. "We're really busy with work," became his standard excuse. When they moved in together, I offered to help with the down payment. I had $80,000 saved up from years of careful budgeting on my teacher's salary. Money I'd specifically set aside to help Michael get started in life. "That's really generous, Mom, but we've got it covered," Michael said during one of our increasingly rare phone calls. Got it covered. I later found out Jessica's parents had bought them a $1.2 million apartment in Soho as an early wedding gift. I should have realized then that I was being replaced. The engagement announcement came through Facebook. Not a phone call. Not a visit. A Facebook post with a photo of Jessica's massive diamond ring and the caption, "He finally asked. Can't wait to start planning our dream wedding." I stared at that post for 20 minutes. My son, my only child, the boy I'd raised alone after his father left when he was 7, had gotten engaged, and I'd found out through social media like a distant acquaintance. When I called to congratulate them, Jessica answered Michael's phone. "Oh, Mrs. Patterson. Yes, we're so excited. We're thinking next fall, something elegant but not too big. You know how these things can get out of hand if you're not careful." "I'd love to help plan," I offered. "I've been looking forward to this day since Michael was born." There was a long pause. "That's so sweet of you, but my mom and I have already started working with a wedding planner. We want everything to be cohesive. Like I was some discordant element that might ruin their perfect harmony." For months, I heard nothing about wedding preparations. When I'd ask Michael about dates or venues, he'd give vague answers. "We're still figuring things out, Mom. Jessica's handling most of the details. I'll let you know when we have more information." I started following wedding vendors on Instagram, hoping to catch glimpses of their planning. I drove by venues in the area, wondering if one of them might be hosting my son's wedding. I felt like a detective investigating my own family. The save-the-date cards went out in March. I know because my neighbor Mrs. Chen mentioned receiving one. "Oh, how exciting," she said over the fence while we were both gardening. "Michael's wedding is going to be at the Riverside Country Club. That's such a beautiful venue. You must be so proud." I smiled and nodded, pretending I knew. Pretending I hadn't just learned about my son's wedding venue from my neighbor. That evening I called Michael. "Mrs. Chen mentioned you're having the wedding at Riverside Country Club. It sounds lovely." "Oh yeah." Jessica fell in love with the gardens there. "When should I expect my invitation?" Another long pause. "Mom, about that. We need to talk." Those 5 words made my blood run cold. The next day Michael came over. Alone. He sat in the same kitchen where I'd helped him with homework for 12 years, where I'd nursed him through the flu, where I'd celebrated every achievement and comforted him through every disappointment. Mom, I need you to understand something. This wedding is really important to Jessica. Her family has certain expectations. What kind of expectations? They're very traditional, very focused on image and social connections. Jessica's dad is a partner at a major law firm. Her mom sits on the board of 3 charities. This wedding is as much about their social circle as it is about us. I stared at my son, trying to understand what he was telling me. Michael, what does that have to do with me? He looked down at his hands. Jessica's parents think it might be better if we kept the guest list to people who fit with the overall atmosphere they're trying to create. And I don't fit. It's not that simple, Mom. Actually, it sounds very simple. Either I'm invited to my son's wedding or I'm not. Michael was quiet for a long moment. Jessica's mom thinks that having you there might send the wrong message about our family's social status. The words hit me like a physical blow. Social status. I was a high school English teacher who'd raised her son alone, working 2 jobs to pay for his tutoring, his sports equipment, his college applications. I'd sacrificed everything to give him the opportunities that led him to Jessica and her family's world. And now I wasn't good enough for that world. What message would my presence send exactly? Mom, please don't make this harder than it has to be. I'm trying to understand how the woman who raised you, who paid for your SAT prep courses, who worked nights at the diner to afford your college visits, who celebrated every one of your achievements, somehow doesn't fit with your wedding's atmosphere. You're being dramatic. Am I? Because it sounds like you're uninviting your mother from your wedding to impress your in-laws. Michael stood up abruptly. This is exactly why Jessica's family has concerns. You make everything about you. This is our day, Mom. Our decision. And you've decided I don't belong there. I've decided that maybe it's better for everyone if we keep things small and simple. Everyone except me. He headed toward the door. I hoped you'd understand. I understand perfectly. I just don't think you do. After he left, I sat in my kitchen for hours, staring at the refrigerator covered with photos of Michael's childhood. Michael in his little league uniform that I'd washed after every practice. Michael at his high school graduation, where I'd been the proudest parent in the audience. Michael at his college graduation, where he'd thanked me in his speech for being the best mom a son could ask for. Apparently, I'd stopped being the best mom somewhere along the way. For weeks, I barely functioned. I went to work, came home, and sat in the dark. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't understand how the child I'd devoted my life to could cut me out of the most important day of his life. My sister Linda called every day, furious on my behalf. Sue, this is insane. You don't just uninvite your mother from your wedding. Maybe I did something wrong, Linda. Maybe I was too involved too. Stop it. You were a wonderful mother. Michael is being manipulated by that girl and her family, and he's too weak to stand up for you. But Michael had made his choice. And it wasn't me. The wedding was on a Saturday in October. I know because Mrs. Chen asked me how it went on Sunday morning. Oh, it was beautiful, I lied. Just perfect. I spent that Saturday at home, imagining what I was missing. The processional I'd dreamed about since Michael was born. The moment he'd say his vows. The mother-son dance I'd fantasized about for years. Instead, I watched Netflix and ordered pizza. 2 weeks later, the wedding photos started appearing on Facebook. Jessica looked stunning in a dress that probably cost more than I made in 3 months. Michael looked handsome in his tuxedo. The Riverside Country Club looked exactly as elegant as I'd imagined. And in every family photo, there was a space where I should have been. Jessica's parents beaming with pride. Jessica's siblings and their children gathered around the happy couple. Michael's new family, complete without the woman who'd actually created it. I studied those photos like archaeology, looking for clues about the life Michael had chosen over me. The life where I didn't exist. That's when I noticed something interesting. In the background of several photos, I could see the gift table. Mountains of elaborately wrapped presents, all with those expensive gift tags that matched the wedding colors. I wondered what kinds of gifts Jessica's social circle gave. Probably crystal vases and silver serving sets that cost more than my monthly salary. I'd actually bought a gift too. A set of beautiful china I'd been paying for in installments for 6 months. It was still sitting in my closet, wrapped and ready for a wedding I was never invited to attend. But looking at those photos gave me an idea. Michael and Jessica had gone to Italy for their honeymoon. 2 weeks in Tuscany, staying at villas that cost $500 a night. They'd posted dozens of photos of their romantic getaway. While they were gone, I made some phone calls. The first call was to Michael's college roommate, David, who'd been his best man. "Mrs. Patterson, how are you? I was so sorry you couldn't make it to the wedding." Couldn't make it. Interesting way to phrase it. "Oh, I had a family emergency," I lied smoothly. "But I wanted to send a gift to Michael and Jessica. Do you happen to know their new address?" David happily gave me their Soho apartment address. The second call was to my brother Tom, who owns a small shipping company. "Tom, I need a favor. Can you arrange for a special delivery to an apartment in Manhattan?" "Of course, Sue. What are we delivering?" "Everything." Tom was confused, but he agreed to help. He'd do anything for his little sister. Over the next week, I carefully packed up 28 years of Michael's life. Every trophy from Little League and high school soccer. Every report card I'd saved. Every art project, every school photo, every certificate, every medal, every ribbon. His baby clothes, his childhood toys, his teenage journals. His college textbooks that he'd left in my basement. All of it. I also included copies of every receipt I could find. The $15,000 I'd spent on his SAT tutoring. The $8,000 for his college application consultant. The $25,000 I'd borrowed against my house to help pay for his Stanford tuition after his partial scholarship didn't cover everything. The $3,000 for his interview suits and professional wardrobe. The $2,000 for his security deposit on his first apartment. Every penny I'd spent on his success, documented and itemized. I wrote a letter and put it on top of everything. "Dear Michael, since I'm not part of your family anymore, I thought you should have all the memories of when I was. These belong to your past, and apparently I do too. I've also included documentation of my financial investment in your success. Since we're no longer family, I thought you might want to reimburse me for the costs I incurred raising someone else's son. The total comes to $127,000, not including interest. I don't actually expect payment, of course. Consider it my wedding gift to Jessica's family. After all, they're the ones who raised such a successful young man, right? I hope your new life brings you everything you deserve. Love from your past." I arranged for everything to be delivered on the Tuesday they returned from Italy. 37 boxes of Michael's life, delivered by Tom's crew directly to their front door. I can only imagine Jessica's face when she walked into their perfect Soho apartment to find it filled with boxes labeled Michael's childhood, Little League trophies, and financial documentation. Michael called me that evening. His voice was tight with anger. "Mom, what the hell is this? It's your life, Michael. All the parts that apparently don't fit with your new image. You can't just dump boxes of stuff at our apartment. Why not? I'm not family anymore, remember? I figured you'd want your real family, Jessica's parents, to see what they were getting. This is insane." "Is it?" "Because I think what's insane is spending 28 years raising a child who grows up to be ashamed of the woman who sacrificed everything for him." "I'm not ashamed of you." "Really? Then why wasn't I at your wedding, Michael?" Silence. "Why did I find out about your engagement on Facebook? Why did I learn about your wedding venue from my neighbor? Why have you spent 2 years slowly erasing me from your life?" "It's complicated." "No, it's not. You chose Jessica's family over me. You chose their approval over your own mother. You chose to pretend that the person who made your success possible somehow doesn't deserve to witness it. Mom, I'm not done. Do you know what I did the day of your wedding? I sat in the kitchen where I used to help you with homework and imagined what I was missing. I pictured walking you down the aisle since your father wasn't there to do it. I thought about the mother-son dance we'd never have. I wondered what kind of speech I would have given at your reception. My voice was breaking, but I continued. Instead, I ordered pizza and watched Netflix while my son married someone who convinced him that his mother wasn't good enough for their special day. Jessica didn't convince me of anything. Didn't she? Because the Michael who used to call me every Sunday to tell me about his week would never have excluded me from the most important day of his life. The Michael who used to say I was his hero would never have let someone else's parents decide I wasn't worthy of being there. There was a long pause. What do you want me to do, Mom? The wedding is over. I want you to decide who you really are, Michael. Are you the man I raised, who values loyalty and family and gratitude? Or are you the man Jessica's parents created, who's ashamed of where he came from? I'm not ashamed. Then prove it. Hung up. For 3 days, nothing. No calls, no texts, no contact. On Thursday, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Michael standing on my porch, looking exhausted. Can I come in? I stepped aside and let him into the house where he'd grown up. I've been thinking about what you said, he began. About who I really am. Waited. I talked to Jessica about the wedding. About why you weren't invited. And she said her parents would have been uncomfortable. That they have certain standards for their social events. I see. But then I asked her something. I asked her if she would exclude her mother from our wedding to make my family comfortable. I looked at him carefully. What did she say? She said that was different. That her mother fits with the kind of life we're building together. And I don't. Michael sat down heavily on my couch. Mom, I think I made a terrible mistake. Which mistake was that? All of it. The way I've treated you. The way I let them treat you. The way I've let Jessica's family convince me that somehow you weren't good enough for our wedding. He looked around the living room at all the photos of his childhood, at the evidence of the life I'd built around him. You worked 2 jobs to pay for my college visits. You sold your car to buy me a laptop for school. You took out a loan against this house to help with my tuition. You were worth it. And I repaid you by being ashamed of you in front of people who've never sacrificed anything for anyone. He was crying now. My successful, sophisticated son was crying in my living room like the little boy he used to be. I don't know how to fix this, Mom. Do you want to fix it? More than anything. I looked at my son. Really looked at him. He was still the boy I'd raised, underneath all of Jessica's influence and her family's expectations. But he was also a grown man who'd made his own choices. Michael, I need you to understand something. I can forgive you for the wedding. I can forgive you for the months of distance and the gradual exclusion from your life. But I can't pretend that it didn't happen. I know. And I can't be in a relationship where I'm only welcome when it's convenient for your wife's family. I understand. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to go home and have a very serious conversation with Jessica. You're going to tell her that I'm your mother, and I will be treated with respect and included in your lives, or you won't have a life that includes me. Michael nodded. And if she can't accept that, if her parents can't accept that, then you need to decide what's more important to you. Their approval or your family. You are my family, Mom. Then act like it. Michael left that day with a promise to talk to Jessica and figure out how to move forward. I didn't know if he'd follow through, but I'd said what I needed to say. 2 weeks later he called. Mom, Jessica and I have been talking. A lot. And she wants to meet with you. To apologize and try to start over. Does she? Or do you want her to? Both, I think. She said she didn't realize how much she'd hurt you. She thought you just didn't want to be involved in the wedding planning. I almost laughed. Didn't want to be involved in planning my only child's wedding. But I bit my tongue. What about her parents? That's going to be more complicated. But Jessica said she doesn't care what they think anymore. She married me, not them. And you. What do you think? I think I've been an idiot. I think I let other people's opinions matter more than the woman who raised me. I think I have a lot of making up to do. Yes, you do. Will you give me the chance? I thought about all the years I'd invested in this relationship. All the love and sacrifice and hope. I thought about the alternative. Losing my son completely to people who saw me as an embarrassment. One chance, Michael. One. That's all I need. 6 months later, Jessica and I have developed something that might eventually become a relationship. She's not the evil manipulator I'd imagined. She's actually a nice girl who was trying to please parents with impossible standards. She's learning to stand up to them, and I'm learning to give her the benefit of the doubt. Michael calls me every Sunday again. We have dinner once a month. It's not what we used to have, but it's something we're building together. The boxes I sent to their apartment are now in storage. Michael said he wants to go through them someday, to remember who he was before he started trying to be someone else. I want to show our kids those little league trophies, he told me last week. Kids. Future grandchildren who might actually know their grandmother. I'd like that, I said. Last month, Jessica asked if I wanted to help her plan a first anniversary party. Something small, she said. Just family and close friends. Real family this time. Yes. She smiled. The only kind that matters. I'm not completely healed from the wound of missing my son's wedding. I don't think I ever will be. But I've learned something important about love and boundaries and standing up for yourself. Sometimes the people who love you most will hurt you deepest. Sometimes you have to risk losing everything to find out what's really worth keeping. Sometimes a mother's love means refusing to accept being treated as less than she deserves. The space where I should have been in those wedding photos will always exist. But the space I occupy in my son's life going forward, that's something we're creating together, one Sunday phone call at a time. And this time, I'm not letting anyone convince me I don't belong. What would you have done in my place? Drop your thoughts in the comments.